Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAM podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty, here with frequent co-host Walt Robillard. How you doing, Walt?
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo está? Muy bien. We got to play the intro music. Hang on. That means this is a high-quality podcast, etc., etc. So, Walt, you're a big novelist now.
That's what I hear. I still have yet to see the evidence.
Okay. The money and groupies haven't materialized.
Definitely not the groupies, and the money remains to be seen.
All right. Here's Underspire, a Forgotten Ruin War Journal it's out on Audible, it's out in Kindle, it's out in paperback as of this weekend, right?
Yeah. It dropped over the weekend on Sunday, I believe.
Sweet. Tell us about this book.
Shit. It's so much fun. So I work with these two crazy guys, Nick. Hey, El Presidente, Nick Cole, and thanks, man. Nick Cole and Jason Onspach, who started the Galaxy's Edge series of books, and they were getting ready to kind of branch out and see what other trouble they could cause, and they decided to bridge into fantasy, but they didn't want to just do it normal, and it started out as like so they had this idea, and they I think they wrote like almost 75% of a novel, and they were like, this isn't what we want to do, and they scrapped it. So instead, they said, what would have been cooler at Helm's Deep, on the nth hour when Gandalf was supposed to come up. How cool would it have been instead of Gandalf cresting the ridge if it was an entire company of United States Army Rangers in their gear, right? And that started off Forgotten Ruin. So Nick says to me, he's like, Big Ned, yeah, thanks, Josh, appreciate it, bro. When Nick came to me, I believe he was just about to finish book 6. And he's like, hey, I really want to tell the story of why there's so much undead in this one part of the city. But I really want to get to the next part of the story. You want to write a dungeon dive? And I'm like, me? So yeah, he's like, look, I need this, this, and this. Other than that, it's yours. It's yours to play with as you want. And then, of course, what I did was, I laid down the framework. Nick came in and gave it the Forgotten Ruin treatment. Jason came in and gave it his, very keen eye for story beats and how, a story should work together within its own context to really entertain you. Because, at the end of the day, that's our job. Our job is to entertain you. And if we can't do that, then I hear Taco Bell is hiring for like $18 an hour, and I'm down.
You get a nice food discount at Taco Bell as well.
I heard.
Yeah, it's not bad. My brother gained 100 pounds working there for 1 year. So,
dear Lord.
Yeah, he's a husky fella now.
But yeah, Underspire was fun. It was a lot of fun to write. I based the characters on two guys the main character on two guys that I used to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them, Mr. Dominique Sundmer.
Oh, Dom's in this book?
Dom is part of the inspiration for the main character.
Sweet. Okay.
So if you know who Dom is a guy that works really heavily with me on the super side for my role-playing game through Hazard Studios. He has his own imprint that we publish for him, New Millennium Games, and he's just a really, really, really cool dude. And one of the cool things that happened was about almost 15 years ago now. We were talking on the Atomic Think Tank, and just geeking out over games and whatnot. And he's like, well, I'll see you when I see you, but I see that you just changed your status, like your position, to somewhere Iraq. Where are you? So we went private message instead, and it turned out we were on the same base. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, we started hanging out, and when we weren't working, and then for only I think it was the first month we were both there. And then, of course, we had to go our separate ways. But when we would come back to that base to refit, he would message me and be like, "Hey, we got to get coffee and a meal," So, and if you know Dom, he is also the guy who used to be on that TV show Scared Straight.
No, well, you're kidding.
No, you didn't know that?
No, I had no idea. Dom was on Scared Straight.
Yeah, he's many people do not know that he is a law enforcement guy, and one of his big things was to help kids who were at risk, not see what they were heading for in the prison system, and hopefully send them straight. I mean, Dom is just I cannot tell you the kind of quality individual that man is, and I was only too happy to kind of base this character on him. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the basic premise is when book 6 is going on, there's all this undead propping up out of the city.
This is Sustegul, right?
Sustegul, yeah. So they send a team of dwarven sappers to take care of the cause, and the dwarves specifically request this guy to lead them down. And in the beginning, he's very confused because he doesn't. What does he know what's underneath the city? They've only showed up at that point like a week or so. They haven't investigated below the city, but the dwarves insist he has to go. So it's and then mayhem ensues from there, and it's a fun, like, if you've played Dungeons and Dragons before, I tried to include enough of the things that we've played throughout the years without betraying the kind of equation of Forgotten Ruin, which is the 3 pillars, which is modern military, fantastic element, and the perpetual taco machine. So
it's a great band name, by the way.
I'm ready. I got my kazoo all warmed up.
I got the spoons.
Yes.
So, all right, this is the Underspire. I'm going to check out the audiobook right when we get off this podcast.
Oh my God. Clifton Duncan did such a good job. He's an actor. He did such a great job of voicing Lou. But what is more impressive, was his rendition of the guy that you see in the front. I can't tell you his name because it would spoil part of the story, but he gives him sort of like a Germanic accent because in the regular
dwarves,
the Forgotten Ruin, they describe them as the Amish biker gang. So he gives them that Germanic kind of accent and just crushes it. Does such a great job.
I would definitely be checking this out. And I made a tiny URL just so I could pimp Walt's book on the air and not have a huge mouthful. tinyurl.com/underspire. You can buy this book right now. So
I love it.
Let's talk about you're just blowing up, dude. You got this other book we can talk about now as well. Callsign Valkyrie, Order of Centurion, book 6 that came out, I want to say last month.
Yep.
Okay, tell us about that one.
So the Order of the Centurion series is a side series that Jason and Nick started to kind of showcase other authors and see what they could do with the Galaxy's Edge universe. And the whole concept is kind of like the Medal of Honor. The Order of the Centurion is the highest award a person can be given in service to the Legion. How does everybody know people I know, and how does everybody know each other? What kind of weird universe is this? El Berzidente. That is because you are a person of quality and sophistication. The Order of Centurion series, the great thing about the series is you don't have to be a Legionnaire to get the Order. You just have to do something extraordinary in service to the Legion. We see that in Richard Fox's book, Through the Nether. So I didn't want to go Legion specific. So, when Jason and Nick were like, hey, we're kind of looking for another Order of the Centurion book. Do you have any ideas? Can you pitch us something? And at the time I was just kind of starting out. I had just put out my first trilogy. I was like, and I was working kind of tangentially with Jason and Nick to, like podcasts and, getting the word out, stuff like that about Galaxy's Edge, because I love this. I love Galaxy's Edge because I love the fact that they are so focused on entertaining fans and so focused on rescuing those of us who hate what Disney has done to Star Wars. Um, so they wanted to give us back that sense of wonder and sense of like that lived-in gritty universe where you could almost reach through the screen and feel the dust on the side of a X-wing.
That's
So
one nice thing when the big corporations who own all the big IPs screw up. It creates opportunities for the smaller fish in the sea.
right. I mean, so I was like, there's been a lot of asking for a Featherhead novel, so basically like a Rogue Squadron. But like I wasn't there yet. But I did have friends who had served in the Air Force pararescuemen. And if you don't know, these guys are some of the most highly trained combat medics in the world. It's the longest school in the military. It takes about 2 years to get through the pipeline. And at the end, you can actually transfer your military learning through a university and be graduated as a physician's assistant. So I mean, like it's a very long and intensive course.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my friends went through the pipeline and succeeded, and I was like, I called him up and I'm like, hey, I really want to write this book and blah 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 blah. And he's like, why this? Why not write about like Rangers or infantry or something like that? And I'm like, because I cried over a YouTube video. He's he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they did this one group did a long introspective on John Chapman, the combat controller, Air Force combat controller, that had his Medal of Honor incident recorded by drone. And I really want to pay homage to that. And he was just like, bro, let's do this. So he keyed me into a bunch of people, gave me a bunch of people to talk to. One of the fun things though was in the beginning of the book, like Josh was talking, there's a sea monster, and it basically takes place on they're doing a rescue on a failed dive for the local planet who's doing an infrastructure repair. So I got to talk to, and this was the coolest. Like I spent a week talking to these guys, and they were awesome. I talked to some saturation divers that do this stuff, and man, that was some cool stuff. I learned some really interesting stuff about what it takes to dive at extreme depths in our current technology, and then had a lot of fun playing with it and pushing it into the next level of tech. So yeah, it was really, really cool to do that.
Yeah, I'm just at the start of Callsign Valkyrie myself, so I'm looking forward to digging into that some more.
Yeah, it was fun. Plus, I got to play with like the Chewbacca of the Galaxy's Edge universe a little bit, the Drusik.
Nice.
They're fun. They're kind of like hyper evolved apes.
Mm-hmm.
But they have like extreme anger issues
Mm-hmm.
because of testosterone glands in their body that produces like extreme for survival and stuff like that. Very smartly thought out alien race on Jason and Nick's part.
I spent some time in Kentucky. I can understand.
Right?
Sorry.
Oh God, I don't judge. I live close to Providence, Rhode Island. We have some Drusiks down here.
Fair enough. All right, and there is a tiny URL if you'll pick up this book. You can right now, tinyurl.com/callsign V. You can pick up Order of the Valkyrie or Callsign Valkyrie from Order of the Centurion, Book 6. Whew, that's a long title.
Yeah, and that's a great thing about the Galaxy's Edge series now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have 2 seasons of the main story.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Order of the Centurion series, which is fantastic, but bring tissues. You have Contracts and Terminations, which is Jason and Nick. Yeah, like bounty hunters, right? It's all based on this one bounty hunter. There's 3 books in Contracts and Terminations, and they just finished 3 more books in the series that the people in our Insiders program, which is like a subscription program, they've already seen these books, and they're already reading them and enjoying them and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just been there's so much good sci-fi in those books. You can just tear them apart. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you're a super busy guy because I used to talk to you all the time. In the last couple of years, I was like, Mike, I'm busy writing. I got to talk right now. So
It's true. Yeah, but I'm never too busy to answer the phone. You know that.
yeah, I appreciate that. Any closing thoughts before we wrap things up?
I just want to thank the people who've come out and dropped a bunch of reviews on the book, and like even those who were critical of Callsign Valkyrie for reasons that were valid in some points, according to some of the reviews I read, mostly due to the audio. A lot of people didn't really care for the audio, but I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the narrator did an amazing job, in my opinion. I really enjoyed the smooth, like that kind of grating voice, almost like mine, in his read. So JD Jackson I really enjoyed what he did. Yeah, as far as like the people who have stopped and left reviews and stuff like that and taking the time out of their day to either reach out through me through if you listen at 1.5, right? That's what I said. That's what I've been telling people, because like Josh just wrote, if you listen at 1.5 speed, it sounds amazing. And absolutely, I usually listen to everything on Audible at 1.25 because most people, when they articulate, they tend to slow down. I don't have time for that. So, but yeah, he sounds great. I think he did a smash job and did a really fun thing with the book. But like for all the people who stopped and actually took a minute out of their day to reach out to me through Hate Space and Twitfile and all the different places, I can't thank you enough for the love and support that you guys have given me, because it's been fantastic.
Cool. All right, this has been the Banff Podcast, talking to Walt Robillard about Forgotten Realm, Forgotten Ruin, Underspire, and
don't get me sued.
Don't get you sorry. There's another company that likes to sue people. All right, thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys later on the Banff Podcast.
Ciao.